Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. No complaints.
Awesome, man. So it's awesome to be talking with you again. How's dad life?
Pretty low key. My baby's just about to turn 10 months, so they're not really doing too many crazy things, but she's starting to try to crawl, mostly face plant. But she tries to fall forward, she can crawl backwards, but she's not too fast, so it's pretty low key for right now. But I think in a month I'm gonna be in some pretty big trouble.
And also book checkup, man. How many books have you read?
This year's been a pretty down year for me. I've only read 28 or 27. I've been working out and training so much, and the baby, I've just been super distracted. So I only really listen to audiobooks when I'm driving or when there's a quiet moment at night. But when you work out 6 to 8 hours a day, and then there's the baby, and then there's chores, and you gotta still be a husband, get distracted.
I think it's very understandable. Your first full year as a UFC fighter, man. How does that feel?
I mean, I made it this far. Some fighters, they don't make it the first year. They have 2 fights, they lose them, and they're out. So I will officially have been a UFC fighter for all of 2020. Unless I have a very embarrassing loss, I think I'll be a fighter at least for a part of 2021. So that's kind of exciting. I'm a UFC fighter still. So, it's not an accident.
For sure. And we kind of talked about it last time I was here, but you get your first professional loss. I guess kind of is the undefeated pressure gone now? Yeah. So when I was undefeated, a long time ago, before I lost a boring decision, and I absorbed 12 strikes. But when I was the undefeated Monkey King, I had all this pressure. I'm what if I lose and no one thinks I'm good? And then I've just been getting lucky this entire time. I don't belong where I'm at. The record's fake. A bunch of people have undefeated records and they fight crap fights. And you don't know if that's you, Because a lot of fighters maybe were not the most self-aware. So when I lost, and I realized it wasn't that big it's still a big deal, but half a paycheck sucks. But when I realized it didn't shatter me, it didn't really affect the way that my loved ones care about me or view me, it was pretty easy. And excuses make it easy. Excuses make it a lot easier. So you tell your family a bunch of excuses, and they all love you the same. I think you just perfectly answered that. Matt Sayles, man. So they come to you with that matchup. Were you familiar with him?
I wasn't familiar with him, and I actually got pretty nervous because my last opponent, Claudio Puelles, very talented Peruvian, fights on December 4th. Check him out. He hadn't fought for almost 3 years, and I was well, he's gonna be pretty rusty after 3 years, and instead he came back looking the best he's ever looked. So it feels pretty good because some people are he's gonna be rusty, but in my mind I'm pretending that he's gonna be the best version of himself, so I'll be prepared. So I'm a little nervous he hasn't fought in the past 700 days because you don't know how people have developed, or if they're not developing, or if they're stagnating. So I wasn't very much aware of him. He got twisted by Bryce Mitchell, but Bryce Mitchell's a very good grappler, so that could happen to anybody, not me. To a lot of other people, it could happen too. So I'm excited, and I'm hopeful, and I'm a little nervous.
You kind of already went into it, but so you're fighting another person with a layoff. It's not as crazy as 3 years, right? But it's still a lengthy layoff. Is it frustrating? I guess. How do you game plan with something like that,
You can't really game plan, especially because my last opponent, they're very young. It'd be different if I was fighting Clay Guida or someone, say this well-established fighter who has his habits ingrained. They take 2 years off, they're gonna still be them. Nick Diaz took 7 years off. He's still Nick Diaz, a little slower and fatter, but he was still Nick Diaz. You could still game plan for him. But when you have a young fighter, and we have so much left to learn and so much more to develop, 2 years is a really astronomical amount of time to change. So that's kind of exciting. It's almost like when I was fighting in the lower end promotions and there wasn't a lot of film. So I'm kind of trying to see this fight as more of a throwback. He was pretty good 2 years ago, and maybe he's pretty good, maybe he's better. So I'm gonna try just focus on improving my skills as opposed to preparing for an individual fighter.
And then also, your UFC debut was one of the best knockouts. You could put it up there of all time.
Do you feel like now people are gonna expect you to like come out and like shock everybody for your whole career?
Yeah, like 2020 was like a super viral year. Every time you did something really special, like, oh my gosh, give this person, and it's like you get a lot of credit and like attention that maybe wouldn't be that deserved, because sometimes finishes just happen. So like, do I try to live up to my slam knockout? Not really. And actually, I haven't even posted on my social media. It's almost like, since I don't train that, it's almost like that wasn't really like me. It didn't really show off my skills because I don't do that. Like, for me, it's more like a once in a like lifetime occurrence for me. Yes, I knew how to slam to hurt somebody. I've seen that slam, but like, it's just like, when you work on 1,000 different skills and you win a fight doing something you never do, it's kind of hard to be like, oh yeah, like, it's hard for me to take credit for that. So do I like feel a little pressure from it? Yeah, but now that I've lost, no one cares about that.
Good point. So, I mean, Matt Sayles, man. I mean, what do you think? Well, actually, before that, you've been posting a lot about your stand-up. Are we gonna see Jordan Leavitt in his boxing?
The real question is Matt Sayles going to be able to sprawl? If he will sprawl, you'll see my boxing. But if I can get my takedowns, hopefully you never see these hands ever. But yes, I've been working a lot with especially Coach Padman. Gotten like dozens of hours in with him this camp. So I've been working on my hands a lot, because that's definitely Matt Sayles' strength. Really big right hand, good head movement. One of the few people that shoulder rolls in MMA. He's short. I hate fighting short fighters. So you have to actually bend my knees when I shoot. And when you've been wrestling for 15 years, you got a bad back. It's hard to do these things. So working on my hands a lot. Maybe I'll knock them out. Unlikely though, don't parlay that. But yeah, hopefully, I could just show off a little bit of striking and then submit him or win a decision. But if it goes according to my plans, the way I envision it, you'll never see these hands ever.
Do you see this fight as the classic striker versus grappler matchup?
On one level, yes, because he only has one submission win, but it's against Kyle Nelson. He's not bad. Kyle Nelson has a win in the UFC. And I think it's more of like, do I think my striking is better than his grappling? Yes, I do. I do think he's definitely going to see like, oh, if I can sprawl, I'm going to knock this guy out. I don't think he can knock me out, but I think I'm a lot more well-rounded than I'm given credit for, and I can't blame fans because they haven't seen any of my striking, because I'm either getting laid on for 15 minutes or I'm submitting people in 30 seconds. So it's my fault, and I guess my opponent's fault that you haven't seen my hands, but I promise I'm well-rounded. People know I could strike if they come through my hood, syndicate. They see me lay these hands at people all the time. They can come catch this fade. But I'm pretty well-rounded, so I like to see it's like well-rounded martial artist fights less well-rounded martial artists.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense to me. And then finally with Matt Sayles, I guess how do you see the fight going, and do you have a prediction?
He's trying to pressure me. I think I'm gonna be a little too elusive. I think that big right hand is probably the number one thing I have to worry about. But he has a habit of overextending on it, kind of posing after the right hand. If he still has that habit, I think I'll definitely take advantage of that. I think I'm probably going to submit him at the end of the first round or win a very, very clean decision.
And then I just kind of want to end on Syndicate. One, who are some of the names to look out for?
At Syndicate, always Sherrard Blackledge. He's one of one Contender Series. I swear, most talented person at the gym by far is Sherrard. So I always say look out for him. Brandon Jenkins, he lost his UFC debut, but something special. The Tom Levy fights this weekend, also something special. I wouldn't be who I am without my training partner. Shane Shapiro, Adam Aquaviva, we have a lot of killers, and they just need the spotlight on them. But basically, anyone on this mat, I feel like if they're given the opportunity, I feel like they could all amount to something in this sport. And I can't, I also to thank a lot of my sparring partners and training partners I have at other gyms throughout the Valley. So I'm not just from Syndicate this camp. I'm out of the Las Vegas Valley in its entirety. So I'm representing my city.
Awesome. And then finally, Roxanne Modafferi. She is your longtime friend, I guess teammate. She's going into her retirement home, her retirement fight. I guess kind of just reflect on her as a fighter, as a friend, and just kind of, just talk about Roxanne.
Dude, so when I first came to Syndicate, I was 18 or maybe 19, and Roxanne was the first person to talk to me. And she said, "I'm Roxanne Modafferi," and I'm like, "I know," and that was weird. So then we didn't talk for a little bit. I was embarrassed. But there are very few people who their fight persona and their outside life line up. Like a lot of people put on like a mask or an alter ego when they're in front of the camera. And Roxanne was definitely like a big inspiration to me to like stay original and not try to water myself down to try to appeal to other people. And just seeing how much people love her and respect her in the sport, women's MMA, fans in general. Like, I've always had someone to look up to at this gym, and she was like the first UFC fighter at this gym, really, and has been in all the biggest fights for my gym, and she's definitely like, Syndicate wouldn't be Syndicate without Roxanne. Like, I feel like if she didn't do what she's done, I don't think all these good fighters would be coming here. I'm not sure I would have stayed here. I only really heard about the gym because of her. So I guess in some way I have really Roxanne to thank for a lot of the success I've had in my life, especially in this sport, because I'm only here because I saw Roxanne on the television. And heck of a career. Everyone thought it was done like several times. And I think she has one more undefeated phenom to beat before she rides off into the sunset.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Jordan. If you want to plug your social media, plug your sponsors, the floor is yours.
Just want to thank Syndicate MMA, my home. Some of my training partners at Couture's, Chris Curtis, Sean Strickland, Roxanne, a lot of people I look up to and get to watch do what they do and help to inspire me. Thankful for Coach Padman, Neil Melanson. You can catch me on Monkey King UFC on Instagram. And I'm just happy to be here. I'd love to have you guys come follow me for my journey.